Let me start with something important, not advice, not opinion. In 2025, a massive global study following people for years found that over 99% of heart attacks were linked to risk factors that could have been identified earlier. That's not a YouTube claim. That's peer-reviewed cardiovascular research. Around the same time, researchers at Mount Sinai Hospital found something uncomfortable. Common heart risk calculators labeled nearly half of patients as low risk just days before their first heart attack. And one more, a large randomized trial from Intermountain Health showed that personalized vitamin D3 treatment reduced second heart attacks by about 50% in older adults. So this video isn't about motivation. It's about what new medical research now proves actually prevents heart attacks after age 65, and why many people never see theirs coming. Why heart attacks feel sudden, but aren't. When people imagine heart attacks, they picture something dramatic, crushing chest pain, someone collapsing. But heart disease develops slowly. Plaque builds over decades. Blood pressure rises gradually. Blood sugar stays slightly too high. Inflammation quietly damages blood vessels. Muscle mass declines. Activity drops. Sleep becomes lighter. None of this feels urgent. You wake up, you eat, you walk, you live. Until one day, the system crosses a threshold. Long-term global research followed people for decades and found something shocking and hopeful. Over 99% of heart attacks and strokes were preceded by at least one major modifiable risk factor. Not genetics alone, not age alone, not bad luck. Things like poorly controlled blood pressure, elevated blood sugar or insulin resistance, abnormal cholesterol patterns, excess abdominal fat, smoking history, chronic inactivity, poor sleep, and chronic stress. So when a heart attack happens, it feels sudden, but biologically, it wasn't. The big blind spot. Why many people are told, you're fine. You might think, I see my doctor, I do checkups. If something was wrong, they'd tell me. That's reasonable. But research shows something uncomfortable. Common risk calculators miss a large number of people who go on to have heart attacks. Studies from major centers like Mount Sinai found that nearly half of patients who had their first heart attack were labeled low risk shortly before it happened. Low risk. Days later, heart attack. This doesn't mean doctors are careless. It means the tools were built decades ago, based on population averages, not individuals. They often underestimate risk in older adults, miss lifetime exposure to risk, ignore inflammation and metabolic health. Blood vessels get stiffer, so blood pressure matters more than ever. As we age, arteries lose elasticity. They don't expand as easily with each heartbeat. That means the same blood pressure number that felt okay at 50 can be damaging at 70. Research consistently shows that even mildly elevated systolic blood pressure sharply increases heart attack risk in older adults. Practical focus. Don't accept a little high for your age as normal. Track trends, not single readings. Aim for consistency, not perfection. Daily walking, slightly reducing excess salt, improving sleep, and staying hydrated all reduce pressure without extreme effort. What actually changes after 65 and why prevention must adapt? After 65, arteries stiffen, the heart muscle thickens slightly. Recovery from stress takes longer. The heart still heals, but slower. That means damage accumulates faster. Recovery takes longer. Small issues compound. Prevention isn't about waiting for symptoms. It's about staying ahead by months and years. Treat feeling okay as a baseline, not proof of safety. Watch patterns, not emergencies. Be proactive, not reactive. Muscle mass declines unless maintained. Blood sugar control becomes harder. Vitamin and hormone deficiencies become more common. This doesn't mean decline is inevitable. It means the margin for error gets smaller. So prevention after 65 isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things more precisely. Muscle loss quietly raises heart risk. After 65, muscle loss accelerates unless you actively protect it. Muscle isn't just for strength. It's a metabolic organ. Less muscle means poorer blood sugar control, higher insulin resistance, more fat stored around organs, more strain on the heart. That's why two people can eat the same diet and have very different outcomes. Practical focus. Light resistance training 2 to 3 times per week. Body weight movements, bands, or light weights. Emphasize legs and core. You don't train to look strong. You train so your heart doesn't have to work overtime. The foundation still matters, with context. Lifestyle still matters, a lot. Blood pressure, the single most powerful risk factor after 65. Blood sugar. Even without diabetes, elevated levels damage blood vessels. Sleep. Poor sleep increases inflammation, pressure, and rhythm problems. These are repeatedly confirmed findings, but newer research added something important: vitamin D3. Why this became a big deal? A large randomized trial studied people who already had one heart attack. Researchers didn't give random doses. They measured blood vitamin D levels, adjusted doses to optimal ranges, monitored patients over time. The result? A roughly 50% reduction in second heart attacks. No major side effects, no toxicity issues, just personalized dosing. Vitamin D deficiency is common after 65 due to less sun exposure, reduced skin synthesis, and absorption issues. Vitamin D affects inflammation, blood vessel function, immune regulation, and muscle strength. This doesn't mean take supplements blindly. It means measure, adjust, monitor. Weight, metabolism, and new heart protective drugs. Drugs like semaglutide and tirzepatide are often called weight loss drugs, but trials showed more than that. They reduce heart attacks, strokes, and cardiovascular death, especially in people with type 2 diabetes, obesity, or heart failure. Why? Improved insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation, modest blood pressure reduction, less visceral fat. This isn't about vanity. It's about reducing metabolic load on the heart. They're not for everyone, but they reflect a shift toward upstream prevention. Why heart attack deaths dropped, but heart disease didn't. Heart attack deaths fell dramatically over recent decades. Better emergency care, faster stents, better medications. But heart disease didn't disappear. It changed. More people now live with heart failure, reduced stamina, shortness of breath, reduced independence. So the goal after 65 isn't just survival. It's staying mobile, sharp, and independent. Many people say, I don't have diabetes, so that's not my issue. But insulin resistance rises with age, even without diabetes. Blood sugar stays elevated longer after meals, quietly damaging blood vessels. You don't feel it happening. That's why it's dangerous. Simple habits help. Walk 10 to 15 minutes after meals. Reduce large late-night meals. Eat protein first, carbs second. Technology helps, but prevention happens at home. Technology is improving. Imaging is improving. Labs are improving. But most prevention doesn't happen in machines. It happens in daily choices and informed conversations. You don't need fear. You need awareness. Ask better questions. How are my numbers trending? What's my inflammation status? Is my risk truly low or just average? Modern medicine works best when patients are engaged. The most important truth: age increases risk, but it does not remove control. Most heart attacks after 65 are not destiny. They're unfinished prevention. And prevention doesn't require perfection. It requires attention, precision, and consistency. Small changes applied early enough reshape outcomes. Your heart doesn't care how old you are. It cares how well it's supported. And that's something you can influence, starting now.